just got this memo.
This may be only the beginning.
Well, first off, there's a name we've been hearing a lot lately, Detective Trina Mays. This is a major blow to SCMPD. This investigation is going to center on 3 officers. Rumors have been flying this afternoon that Chief Lovett is planning to retire. Why won't the DA or the U.S. Attorney trust these officers? So far, they won't say. But I went digging and found this. 1,100 pages of documents, including a 52-page Chatham Counter-Narcotics Team report that alleges these officers were involved in drug activity. But I also found an internal affairs file that finds insufficient evidence of violations. The narcotics report involves a confidential drug informant who claims he bought large amounts of cocaine from Willette Williams' brother. That confidential informant also claims the drug deals came with a personal police escort. According to the report, narcotics agents believe that escort was provided by Star Corporal Willette Williams, although a police internal affairs investigations called these allegations, quote, not sustained. After the informant's tip, narcotics agents started investigating the Williams brothers and filed this 52-page report. The report says Officer Malik Khalis was eager to be part of that investigation. Several months later, narcotics agents started to suspect Khalis was a mole, that he was tipping off the Williams brothers that they were being watched, according to the report. In their report, narcotics agents say they obtained phone records that show Khalis called Officer Willette Williams 8 times while Khalis was on a stakeout of Williams' brother. Again, the investigation by the Savannah-Chatham Metro Police Department's Internal Affairs Unit disputes those call records. They're finding that the investigation conducted into the alleged violations made by the CNT and the FBI failed to prove any SCMPD violations. Khalis was promoted to sergeant shortly after the Metro investigation wrapped up. No charges were ever brought against either Williams or Khalis.
What is the latest here?
Well, I was able to get a copy of the proposed indictment against Mays, and it includes 7 counts of making a false statement. She's been accused of lying to Interim Police Chief Julie Tolbert, of lying to Metro Internal Affairs, and of lying to outside investigators hired by the city. All of this when questioned about her alleged relationship with known and convicted burglar Rocky Sellers. But Mays' attorney says this isn't the case, that this is all retaliation after his client reported another romantic relationship, one she said she was having with former Metro Police Chief Willie Lovett.
The facts aren't there to support any potential action against my client. The law is not there to support any action against my client. And unfortunately, the city is trying to co-opt the district attorney's office into their retaliation against my client.
May's attorney sent a letter to the DA claiming his client is being treated unfairly. He pointed out an instance in which another officer was caught lying and was not prosecuted. Right now, the DA wants to know why Claiborne sent the proposed indictment to the media. She says grand jury proceedings are supposed to happen in secret.
It is very upsetting. You know, people have a right to go before the grand jury, to go to a proceeding and allow the evidence to be presented before it is tainted in any way. And that really concerns me. I don't like the criminal justice system, people trying to pull and manipulate it to their own use.
Now, the DA tells me that she's going to call the state bar and ask them whether or not this leaking this document violates the bar's code of ethics. As for Will Claiborne, he is telling me that the DA never told him that he couldn't share the document. Reporting live at the courthouse, Connie Cooper, WTOC News.
There's no doubt the situation with Chief Lovett looks messy, and it may get messier still as details of the investigation come out. But tonight, Savannahans I spoke with say they hope to turn this problem into an opportunity. For years, Savannah-Chatham Metro Police have touted declining crime numbers, but that's not what residents say they see in the streets.
Crime is not down overall. The crimes that we care about, I mean, the one that grabs headlines is murders. Those are up more than twice. Rapes are up, and assaults with a gun are up. And those are the things that can ruin your life.
Glover served on the mayor's public safety task force back in 2005, but recently crime has hit close to home for him, with a string of robberies reported last month near Glover's home on historic Jones Street.
And perhaps we can use the fact that now we've got a search for a chief as a time to really rethink, you know, what we're doing right and what we're doing that isn't working.
Phineas Smith is hoping a new chief could mean a new take on her son's case. Last year, her teenage son, Tyedes Franklin, was shot to death on River Street. Police say they found the killer, but a murder charge was dropped against Lenard McKell. The explanation changed to self-defense after the DA's office built a 97-count gang indictment with McKell as the centerpiece. Smith had this to say about the now former chief.
He got on TV and said, himself that the guy who shot my son is going to be released, but the case isn't over. But I don't feel justice. I don't feel like how would you let him out and he murdered my son?
So let's get a rundown on the future, the new command staff. Interim Chief Julie Tolbert has been with the department for decades. Her most recent assignment was heading up special operations. Terry Enoch, the new assistant chief, had been heading up the Savannah Impact Program. He's only been with the department for about a year, though. He came to Metro after retiring from the sheriff's office. In the studio, Connie Cooper, WTOC News.
Putting the fox in the hen house, you don't investigate yourself.
Dr. Tracy thinks an outside agency should have been brought in to look at Khalees and Williams after narcotics agents brought claims that the officers may have been involved in drug activity.
If there isn't anything, then you've maligned someone. But if there is something, then those people, corrupt police officers should not continue working.
But they did keep working, staying on the street for nearly 3 years after the investigations. Khalees was even promoted to sergeant. Then, Thursday, less than a week after Lovett stepped down, they were abruptly suspended.
Frankly, I find the placement of these people on administrative leave at this time is strange.
Stranger still, the suspension came 3 years after the U.S. attorney decided not to prosecute cases involving Williams or Khalees, and 3 months after the Chatham District Attorney decided she wouldn't prosecute their cases either, citing credibility issues.
The red flags are definitely there.